Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live coverage of SpaceX's Falcon 9 launch for Amazon on Kuiper Falcon 2 mission launch that will be launching from Space Coast, that is from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We hope you all are doing fine and excited about the upcoming SpaceX Falcon 9 launch for Kuiper satellites, which marks second of three planned launches for Project Kuiper by SpaceX and the 28th dedicated non-Starlink launch of this year. Now, for those who are new to today's mission, the Kuiper Falcon 2 mission, also known as for Kuiper Falcon KF-02, is for Project Kuiper, which is Amazon's low Earth orbit satellite broadband network similar to SpaceX's Starlink mega constellation. Well, if this is your first time joining us, hi, my name is Dipta Maitra. I'll be your friend and the host providing the commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
We are super excited bringing you the coverage of SpaceX's 525th overall launch for this year, and it marks the 100th overall launch and the 97th Falcon 9 launch of this year. This launch marks the 512th Falcon 9's overall launch, and today's launch is the 64th one from Space Coast as SpaceX is on its way building their record-breaking launch cadence for this year. We are currently standing by for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 9:18 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:18 hours UTC from Florida, for a northeasterly launch for Amazon's Project Kuiper KF-02 mission. Today's Kuiper Falcon 2 mission will launch 24 Kuiper satellites to low Earth orbit, bringing the total number of Kuiper satellite spacecraft deployed to date to 102 satellites. But before moving on, would like to welcome William Evans. Thanks, William, for tuning in. And yes, we are aware of that. The upcoming Group 17 launch for Starlink, it will be from Vandenberg, and we will be streaming that event as well. So we hope that we will be having you there as well with us. But once again, thanks for tuning in, William, and I hope you are doing well. Now, before we dive into the mission details, on behalf of AstroYonder team and our awesome moderators, thanks everyone for joining us for today's launch. We are so grateful to have you as part of the stream. Really appreciate you being here, and a huge shout out to our amazing YouTube community for the support as we bring you detailed coverage of space launches with all the stats and in-depth insights. Really grateful to have you all here with us. Now, SpaceX will be bringing their webcast to start approximately 15 minutes prior to the liftoff, and we started a bit earlier so that we can share the insights with you guys. I would love it if you guys could join the chat and let us know from where you are tuning from. Also, please feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or your opinion with us. That will also that will also help us to improve our stream as well as to know your perspective. We would love to hear from you guys. Now, just a heads up, it's me only managing the launch coverages on my own. So if by chance, although the chances are low, if we face any technical hiccups or issues, please kindly bear with me and hang tight. I will do my best to guide you through the upcoming Falcon 9 rocket launch happening in approximately 47 minutes from now. Now let's get into the mission details. According to the 45th Weather Squadron officials, today it's a less than favorable outlook weather conditions for the launch. Although this report got published yesterday, um, but according to the reports, there is a 35% chances of favorable weather conditions at the time of launch, which SpaceX also mentioned on their tweet, with massive 65% launch weather constraint violations related to cumulus cloud, anvil cloud, and lightning rules. Otherwise, it's a 35% go for today's launch. But uh, just before the stream now, which we are on, I checked upon the weather. It seems that the weather is favorable for today's launch as of now. I guess the weather got to turn in another way as predicted by 45th Weather Squadron previously. But anyways, the forecast calls for a temperature of 28 degrees Celsius, 0.19 inch of light rain with 40% cloud cover and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour. For today's launch, we have a 27 minutes of launch window, which opens at 9:18 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:18 hours UTC, and which closes at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:45 hours UTC. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope the launch proceeds on time. Now, one thing I hope you guys noticed, well, we will be having today the SpaceX's 100th launch that includes 3 Starship launches, but we are just 4 launches away to reach the 100th launch for Falcon 9 itself only for this year. So again, that's another milestone for them waiting around the corner. Now let's take a look at the payload details. But uh, before getting into the payload details, just a heads up, we could not grab our usual close-up shots for this payload. Amazon keeps things pretty under wraps, so we managed just a few shots which are publicly available, and that's also when the payload is already encapsulated inside the fairing half. We know how much you enjoy seeing them up close, and trust me, we wish we could show you more. So, really, we are sorry for that. Today, it's the fourth launch for Project Kuiper this year, and Kuiper Falcon 2 mission launch by SpaceX is the second out of the 3 Falcon 9 flights purchased by Amazon. Kuiper satellite produced at Amazon's facilities in Redmond and Kirkland, Washington. Today's payload includes 24 of Kuiper satellites. Amazon's production facilities are capable of building up to around 5 satellites per day. This launch marks the fourth dedicated Kuiper launch for this year. Before this launch, Amazon's Project Kuiper had already sent up 78 Kuiper satellites in 2025 alone. with previous 2 launches of Atlas V rocket carrying a batch of 27 satellites each and one Falcon 9 launch with a batch of 24 satellites. With today's launch, the count jumps to 102, crossing that 100 mark. But if we include the 2 initial prototype satellites, namely KuiperSat-1 and KuiperSat-2, launched back in the year 2023 on Atlas V rocket, then it's a total of 104 Kuiper satellites um, will be getting launched to date with today's launch. Can say that it's an incredible pace, but yes, they are ramping up. It's just they are at the very beginning of their journey. While Amazon has not shared official details about the Kuiper satellites, our uh, some deep dive research from trusted sources uncovered the following. Each of these Kuiper satellites comes with electronically steerable Ka band phased array antennas, which operates at 17 to 30 gigahertz frequency and which enables low latency, high throughput connectivity for broadband services. Each Kuiper satellites are powered by Amazon's custom design Prometheus system on a chip, and this chip integrates functions of multiple components including 5G modem capabilities, cellular-based station functionality, microwave backhaul, and antenna functions for efficient data processing. We know SpaceX's Starlink uses the open source Linux operating system, but for Kuiper satellite, beyond the Prometheus chip, specific computational capabilities or software details are not yet publicly disclosed. Now, similar to Starlink, each Kuiper satellite features space laser transponders, also known as optical inter-satellite links or OISL in short to say, for communicating with space lasers moving data at speeds up to 100 Gbps. Specific numbers of optical inter-satellite links is not publicly disclosed, but just to give you a bit of context, each Starlink satellite features 3 optical inter-satellite links and is capable of handling data at speeds up to 200 Gbps compared to 100 Gbps of Kuiper satellites. The prototype test demonstrated 4K video streaming and two-way video calls, indicating robust network performance. Onboard solar arrays provides power to satellite system for the Kuiper satellites with improved performance over prototype designs and high capacity batteries to support power needs during eclipse period and initial activation. Again, specific details about the solar array dimensions and capacity or the battery specifications are not fully disclosed. Kuiper satellites are designed for a 7-year operational life with onboard propulsion for controlled deorbiting to minimize orbital debris. On the other hand, we know the Starlink satellites are designed for a 5-year operational lifetime. Now coming to the propulsion systems for Kuiper satellites, these satellites are equipped with custom Hall effect thrusters designed and built by Amazon, which are based on Krypton. The Hall effect thrusters helps precise satellite maneuvering to raise satellites to assign orbit, maintain position, avoid debris, and perform controlled deorbiting at the end of their useful life. Once again, just a short comparison with Starlink. Starlink satellites also make use of Hall effect thrusters, but which are powered by argon, which was previously based on Krypton. And SpaceX made this switch between the propellant basically due to the cost effectiveness of argon compared to Krypton. Today's Falcon 9's second stage will deploy the satellites at an initial altitude of 465 kilometers above Earth with an inclination of approximately 40 degrees. Later on, after establishing contact with satellites, completing activation and health checks, Project Kuiper team will gradually raise the satellites to their assigned operational altitude of 630 kilometers. Now, while Starlink operates at approximately 550 kilometers, Kuiper satellites will orbit slightly higher at 630 kilometers. Now, talking about the satellite's inclination, the graph you are seeing on your screen is all thanks to Jonathan McDowell, sir, who tracks not just Kuiper satellite but pretty much every satellites up there. And I would insist you guys to check his work out on his website. You will be really amazed by the details he is maintaining. Now, this one is for the Kuiper satellites launched on Atlas V rocket. But since the orbital setup and the altitude matches, we can safely guess that the inclination will be the same for Falcon 9 Kuiper launches too. The Kuiper satellites are coated with a dielectric mirror film to scatter reflected sunlight, which is unique to Kuiper satellites, reducing visibility to ground-based astronomers and minimizing interference with astronomical observations. In general, Project Kuiper team mentioned that the performance of every system and subsystem on board had been improved compared to their previous two prototype satellites, including the phased array antennas, processors, solar arrays, propulsion systems, and optical inter-satellite links. And that's all we had for you guys to share about the payload details. And I guess and hope that give you a bit more of insight. Previously, we got to see the payload deployment of uh, the satellites during Kuiper Atlas I mission, which revealed the rectangular, approximately 10 by 20 feet solar array topped satellites with visible electronics and vent-like structure, unlike SpaceX's cylindrical Starlink craft. Previously on the uh, Falcon Kuiper Falcon 1 mission, we didn't got any payload deployment visuals, and hopefully today's mission also we won't be getting any visuals for the payload deployment. The satellites are projected to be placed in 98 orbital planes in 3 orbital layers, one at 590 kilometers, then another in 610 kilometers, and lastly the third is 630 kilometers of altitude respectively. Amazon is expecting to begin delivering service to customer later this year, and the company has secured more than 80 launches to deploy their initial constellation. Over the next few years, Kuiper and ULA team will conduct 6 more Atlas V launches, which is 8 in total they purchased for Atlas V launches itself. Other than that, they also purchased 38 launches on United Launch Alliance's larger Vulcan Center rocket. So that's a total of 46 launches for United Launch Alliance, and the remaining 34 launches are planned across other launch providers, namely Arianespace, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. But personally, I feel it's a bit critical considering the current launch cadence conditions for all the launch service providers except SpaceX, which we know is doing an excellent job. Although this is just my personal opinion without any bias toward any of the mentioned providers. So please don't get me wrong. Um, I know, guys, it's still early in the stream, but just a quick request: if this stream fuels your love for space, please consider giving this stream a like. It helps the stream to get discovered by amazing space enthusiasts like you who are joining us right now. Would be super grateful for your kind support. Once again, just to remind you guys, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral in Florida at 9:18 a.m. Eastern Time. Well, they adjusted the liftoff time. Let me check. So currently they are targeting a liftoff time of 9:32 a.m. Eastern Time. That is 13:32 hours UTC on Saturday, August 9th of 2025. I hope the weather is not an uh, is not being an issue for this time adjustment. Although previously 45th Weather Squadron provided the launch weather forecast, which gave us a 35% favorable launch weather conditions for today's liftoff. Hopefully, the weather is not an issue. So now we have a little more of time, but well, just a second. Let me adjust the timer as well here on our stream. It's 19:02 here. So, well, it's done. We adjusted the timer. Also, the live updating pre-launch timeline is updated. So now let's take a look at the flight record for the booster supporting today's Kuiper Falcon 2 mission. But before that, would like to thanks Alexander Costa for subscribing to us and also tuning to us. It means a lot, uh, Alexander, and hope you will be enjoying the stream. And we also hope that we could meet your viewing experience, providing some deeper insights apart from other streams available on the YouTube platform. Now let's move on. As I was saying, now let's discuss about the booster supporting today's Kuiper Falcon 2 mission launch. Today's supporting booster is a brand new one with tail number 1091, following the same approach as the previous Kuiper Falcon 1 mission, which also marked the debut of a new booster. Meanwhile, the current speculation suggests that the third of the three planned Kuiper launches by SpaceX may also use a new booster, possibly the booster with tail number 1097, although it's not being confirmed as of now. The booster with tail number 1091 supporting today's mission is the first Falcon Heavy center core capable of flying in a single stick configuration, supporting Falcon 9 launches, a configuration in which it will remain for a handful of launches before it will be reconfigured and support Falcon Heavy. And that's why hopefully you might have noticed that the booster doesn't have the Falcon 9 logo on it. John Edwards, who is SpaceX's vice president of Falcon and Dragon, stated that the booster with tail number 1091 will be used as a Falcon 9 booster a handful of times before being reconfigured and flying as a Falcon Heavy center booster, and this way they get some use out of it while the Falcon Heavy customer finishes up the payload, which also reduces the risk as it will be a flight proven. So that's all for the booster for today's mission. Now let's take a look at the bar graph showing the Falcon 9 launches each year. Before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 96th Falcon 9 launch for this year with Starlink Group 10-30 mission launch from here at Cape on 4th of August 2025. SpaceX is now having 35 more than the launches made in year 2022 and equal number of launches made in 2023. With today's launch of Kuiper Falcon 2 mission, the bar graph shows 97 number of Falcon 9 launches for 2025. As of now, SpaceX is less than halfway to reach the number of launches made last year, that is in 2024. And with today's launch, SpaceX will be having 30 will be just 35 behind of 2024's total. SpaceX is once again aiming for another record-breaking year with around 170 launches, surpassing last year's highest annual launch count of 134 launches in total, which includes 2 Falcon Heavy missions. So it's an ambitious target, but let's hope SpaceX pull it off. Once again, just to uh, remind you guys, SpaceX adjusted their liftoff time for today's Kuiper Falcon 2 mission. Currently, they are targeting a liftoff time of 9:32 a.m. Eastern Time, which corresponds to 13:32 hours UTC. Well, they again adjusted their liftoff time. Now it's 9:45 a.m. I guess they won't be able to because it's getting complete at the end of the launch window. But let's wait and see if they will be targeting a launch for the Kuiper Falcon mission, which we are now waiting for. So just to round out with the current update for the liftoff time. Currently, they are targeting a liftoff time of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, that is 13:45 hours UTC. And also worth mentioning, that is the very end of the today's 27 minutes of launch window, which previously they were targeting. Hopefully, they can have the launch in This case generally when the liftoff time comes to the very end of the launch window, we saw SpaceX scrubbing the launch. And also the weather is a concern as previously SpaceX mentioned, as well as the weather reports for launch weather report forecast by 45th Weather Squadron suggested that it's a 35% favorable launch weather conditions at the time of liftoff. Now, having your support inspires us to push forward and give our best to meet what you hope for. Here at AstroYonder, we do our best to provide you all the in-depth details about the payloads getting launched, about the trajectory, and all the insights for any mission. So if this stream fuels your love for space, give this stream a like. It's kind of a way fine-tuning the trajectory of our mission to build a community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that you won't miss a single launch update. Here at AstroYonder, we believe together we will build the ultimate constellation of space enthusiasts, and we would be super happy and grateful to have you with us. We'll be skipping the pre-launch timeline since it's a typical Falcon 9 launch. But just a second, as they adjusted the liftoff time once again, we have to update our timer on the stream so that you can get a sense that when the liftoff will be happening or dynamically getting updated. Also, the timer got updated. Let me just update the timeline. 1915 here. Well, at a very fast pace, they adjusted their liftoff time 2 times very close to each other. Anyways, the timelines are updated. Just to say you guys that currently they are targeting a liftoff time of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 13:45 hours UTC, and that's the very last minute of today's launch window. A launch window of 27 minutes, which they were previously targeting. So I was talking about the pre-launch timeline, as I will be skipping getting into that details of the pre-launch timeline since it's a typical Falcon 9 launch with absolutely no alteration or deviations. You can track the pre-launch timeline updating live on the upper left hand side of your screen. It's updated with the current adjusted liftoff time. However, there is one point I would like to mention just for your quick knowledge, and which you might be knowing that the strong back reclining process at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center differs from that at Vandenberg. Here at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center, we recline the strong back about 1.5 degrees or 2, whereas at Vandenberg, we recline the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9. So that's the only thing different in today's pre-launch schedule, as this is a Cape Canaveral flight. Currently, we are standing by for a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral in Florida at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:45 hours UTC on Saturday, August 9th of 2025 for Kuiper Falcon 2 mission. So now let's move ahead and take a look at the trajectory for today's mission. Oh, well, excuse me. Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral with a batch of 24 Kuiper satellites on board for a northeast trajectory heading into low Earth orbit, that is, with the fourth batch to date for its first generation Kuiper mega constellation, indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line indicates where Falcon 9 first stage will land after stage separation just a little later, leaving Florida's Space Coast. This is going to be a droneship landing using autonomous spaceport droneship, and today it's A Shortfall of Gravitas droneship, one of the two here at the East Coast. This will be the 120th landing on A Shortfall of Gravitas droneship to date, if successful. Now some recovery specifics. The planned booster recovery is approximately 595 kilometers with estimated fairing recovery approximately 650 kilometers downrange. And the stage 2 debris re-entry will be in the southern Indian Ocean on its second orbit. Well, speaking of droneship, here are some of the stats related to droneship as of today on your screen right now. Currently, there are 3 in SpaceX's droneship fleet. Of the 3 droneships, A Shortfall of Gravitas and Just Read the Instructions are based here in Florida, while of course I Still Love You is stationed in California. As promised by SpaceX earlier, we do anticipate the addition of a 4th droneship, possibly occurring late this year or being unsure maybe early next year, because as of now we are not getting any information regarding that. Now let's move ahead and let's discuss a little bit about the fairing recovery. SpaceX will utilize a recovery vessel to retrieve both the fairing halves from Atlantic waters. The 2 halves of the payload fairing will be recovered slightly farther, approximately 55 kilometers downrange from where the first stage lands on the droneship A Shortfall of Gravitas, after they will smoothly splash down with the guidance of parachutes. We know SpaceX manufactures these fairings in-house with the total cost of 2 halves is nearly $6 million. So it's of no wonder that SpaceX aims to recover the fairing half for repetitive use, following their same approach with rocket boosters, upholding the motto of reusability and sustainability. Right now on your screen, you can see how a fairing recovery operation looks like. The recovery vessel on your screen is Doug performing the recovery operations and is also being today's supporting recovery vessel here at the East Coast. Other recovery vessels, Bob and Go Cosmos here at the East Coast awaiting for their next assignment, and Go Beyond at the West Coast is gearing up for the upcoming Starlink mission launch from Vandenberg. As you heard, Megan, the Dragon recovery vessel, was retired in the third week of June 2025 after completing her final mission with Crew 9 back in March. She recovered a total of 24 astronauts in her career. So as of now, only one Dragon recovery vessel remain there in SpaceX. With SpaceX is the Shannon, which will be now in just couple of hours from now will be recovering the Crew 10 who are already on their way back to Earth. Once again, before proceeding, please provide us a few moments to check if the launch proceeding is the if the launch is proceeding as scheduled, and to keep ourselves informed. As of now, they are sticking with their currently adjusted liftoff time of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:45 hours UTC. So let's wait and see if they will be proceeding, because that's the very last minute of the launch of the 27-minute launch window. Now, how much time is left? We are approximately 15 and 17 minutes away from the webcast to begin. So let's just quickly get done with the stats we have for you to share with for today's mission. But we have a request again for you folks. Consider giving this stream a like as your way of boosting us past max Q, passing through maximum dynamic stress of YouTube's algorithm. It really helps us to connect with more space enthusiasts like you and growing our community. As we are burning our all-day propellant to bring you streams packed with stats and insights, we expect your kind support for us by tapping the subscribe and the bell icon, and with that you will never miss an upcoming stream like a perfectly timed launch window. Your support would really inspire us to work hard and to keep up with our dedication to meet your viewing experience. Now let's move on and discuss some of the stats related to today's mission launch. Today's launch marks the 525th SpaceX's overall launch and the 28th dedicated non-Starlink launch of this year. About Kuiper launches, it's the fourth Project Kuiper launch for this year in total, and it marks the second of the third planned SpaceX's supported Kuiper launches. This is going to be the 512th Falcon 9 launch to date. First flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster supporting today's mission with tail number 1091, which will be in future used as a core booster for a Falcon Heavy. Today's mission marks the 97th Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 100th overall launch of 2025. This will be, well, this is not. Prior to this mission, SpaceX had 451 number of Falcon booster reflight to date. Please excuse me. Prior to this mission, SpaceX had 451 Falcon booster reflight to date, that is, the launch of a booster that has flown at least once before. The reflight number remains the same as the previous flight since this booster is flying for the first time. 271st orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from Space Launch Complex 40 with this mission, and it also marks 326th overall orbital launch from Pad Slick 40. Now moving on to some reusability statistics. This launch marks, once again I'm getting it wrong, it's prior to this launch. SpaceX had 435th Falcon 9 booster reflight to date. As mentioned before, this booster is on its first flight, so the Falcon 9 booster reflight number stays the same as before. This will be the 120th landing on A Shortfall of Gravitas droneship. First landing of this first stage boosters with tail number 1091 supporting today's mission. With this mission's first stage landing, SpaceX will be having their 393rd overall droneship landing, marking 466th Falcon 9 landing so far and the 485th SpaceX's overall landing to date. Now just a quick note, we are not counting the landing failure on Just Read the Instructions droneship during the Starlink Group 12-20 mission this year, as it was a partial success. So you can notice that there's a difference of 1 in Falcon 9 and overall landing stats compared to what that is listed on SpaceX's website. So please don't get confused with these two landing stats. Now speaking of landing on drone ships, here are some of the stats for drone ship landings prior to today's mission. As today's mission will be supported by A Shortfall of Gravitas drone ship, which previously had 119 successful landing attempts with one unsuccessful landing attempt so far out of 120 overall attempts. And recently this drone ship supported the Starlink Group 10-26 mission back in July 26th of this year. Once again, please note that these drone ship landing stats on your screen are excluding today's mission. These are prior to today's launch. Now let's have a look into some key stats for SpaceX launches for this year, specifically for 2025, including this mission. Meanwhile, let me just check. Well, as of now, they are sticking with their liftoff time of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:45 hours UTC. Still, it's a wait and watch situation. We are approximately 15 minutes away from the webcast to begin. Now, with today's mission, SpaceX will be having their 100th launch of this year. Out of those, 69 are Starlink missions, 28 are non-Starlink missions for commercial and government organizations, including this one, and 3 Starship launches. 91 of this mission using a reuse booster as of previous flight. Today, this booster is flying for the first time, so this won't count as a reflown booster. Now, if we look into the geographical distribution, we get SpaceX will be having 64 launches from the East Coast, 17 of them from Launch Complex 39A, that is NASA's Kennedy Space Center, previously launching the Crew 11, and 47 launches with today's mission from Space Launch Complex 40, that is from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station with the upcoming Kuiper Falcon 2 mission. On the West Coast, SpaceX is having 33 launches, that is from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. As of now, 3 launches from Gulf Coast at Starbase back in Texas, and 2 Super Heavy booster catches with Starship's 7th and 8th test flights. On Flight 9, no Super Heavy booster catch was attempted. According to current speculations, guess the Starship test flight 10 will be no earlier than 22nd of August. According to some NOTAMs published for the local mariners, and the window extends up to 28th of August with launch window opening at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This all remains a go if everything goes as planned. Now, getting back to the stats, for landings, SpaceX will be nailing it for the 95th time this year. Most of the landings are on droneship with 83 landings, 28 on, of course, I Still Love You, 26 on Just Read the Instructions, and 29 on A Shortfall of Gravitas, including today's landing. As of now, A Shortfall of Gravitas is leading among the droneship fleet in terms of the landings being made on the drone ships. For ground landings, they pulled off 12 of them, where landing zone 1 had 6 landings. Landing zone 1 had 6 landings, and just the recent one with the Crew 11 launch, landing zone marked its final landing so far. Also, SpaceX mentioned that they will be continuing with the landings being made in the future with the landing zone 2, which previously had only 1 landings for this year, and landing zone 4 witnessed 5 landings. SpaceX is now working on adding a landing pad at the East Coast in order to retain the return to launch site, that is also known as RTLS capabilities, as SpaceX's lease for landing zone 1 and 2 was supposed to expire back in July. Although we saw the landing zone 1 landing with the Crew 11 launch that marked the final landing on the landing zone 1, and during that time the SpaceX mentioned that they will be continuing with the landing zone 2 landing operations. So I guess they did some modifications with the lease for these landing zones, which was meant to be expired already back in July. And about the new landing pad they are working on at the East Coast, I guess it will be a single landing zone, unlike now where we have two of them. Now, once again, this page of stats are prior to today's launch. Prior to this mission, the success rate for ground landings is 98.92%. For droneship landing, it is 97.03%, and the overall landing success rate is 97.38%. This year, the landing success rate dropped to 98.95% due to the failure of booster with tail number 1086 to successfully land on just with the instructions droneship during Starlink Group 12-20 mission. And that for that reason only, as it was considered a partial success, we didn't count it that landing for the Falcon 9 and the overall landings for SpaceX, which we previously mentioned in our uh, previous stats. The longest stretch of successful mission in a row prior to the last mission failure, that is Starlink 9-3 mission, is 334 back-to-back successful missions, that is from the Iridium 1 to Turksat 6A mission. Today's mission is the 161st launch since last mission failure, that is the Starlink Group 9-3 mission. Most launches in a calendar quarter to date is 46 launches, including one Starship launch in the second quarter of 2025 this year, which was previously 42 launches, including two Starship launches in the fourth quarter of 2024. So you can just notice the difference that how SpaceX is working so fast. The target which they achieved at the fourth quarter of 2024, they already achieved during the second quarter of 2025. So with this current launch cadence, hopefully they will be meeting their target of 170 Falcon 9 launches. Although weather is also a major concern for them to reach their target. Now, the most launches in a calendar month is 17 launches in November 2024 and May 2025, including one Starship launch each. That remains the same for previous year as well as this year. Although once again, the noticeable difference is they made it 17 launches the highest for a calendar month for the last year during November, and which they already achieved this year in May. Now coming to this page of stats, once again just to remind you, this page of stats is also prior to today's launch, and what we have is 160 successful launches since last mission failure with Starlink 9-3 mission, 70 successful landings since last landing failure with Starlink Group 12-20, booster with tail number 1067 having highest number of flights and successful landings, that is 29 times, with the previous Starlink mission launch of Group 10-25. 369 missions with at least one reuse fairing, and approximately 706 number of fairing halves were reused prior to today's launch, with the fairing half reused to reach a maximum of 32 times being reused. Now moving on to this year's orbital launches, including this mission. With this 175th orbital launch of the year, United States is leading with 113 launches with 64.6%, followed by China with 43 launches, Russia with 9 launches, 2 launches by Japan, and 3 by India. Meanwhile, Europe with 4 launches and Australia with 1 launch, which marked the first Australian-made Eris rocket on its test flight to launch from its own country soil. That marked a major milestone for Australian space program. Although the flight lasted for approximately 14 seconds, but I'm pretty sure that with all the data they will be getting, they will be doing more good in the upcoming next launch for the Eris rocket. So now we have this pie chart showing 2025 orbital launches by rocket variations, including today's launch. Falcon 9 is gearing up for its 97th launch with this upcoming Project Kuiper Kuiper Falcon 2 mission launch. Now meanwhile, you guys check out the pie chart. Let me see if the stream is rolling or not and whether they are still sticking with their liftoff time. Well, as of now, they are sticking with their current liftoff time, current adjusted liftoff time of 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 13:45 hours UTC, which is at the very end of the 27-minute of launch window for today's launch attempt. As of now, there is no hint of scrubbing today's launch attempt like yesterday. Hopefully, they are moving on with the launch, and currently, SpaceX is yet to begin the webcast. Well, I'm keeping a track on that. Now on this pie chart, you can see a section at the very end termed as others and which comprises of 29 launches. Basically, it is having a mix of various rockets which are not flown so much during a year. So that's why we grouped that and clubbed it in one and termed it as others. We will be giving you guys a breakdown of all the rocket being launched on the upcoming stream. We did worked out on that as previously promised, and we are just about to finish the thing so that we can provide a breakdown, a visible in a good way breakdown of a pie chart that shows all the launches by rocket variations during this year. Also, these others, just for an example, I'm saying it consists of Long March 12, which got recently launched, Eris rocket, Kinetica 1, Europe's, Firefly's Aerospace's Alpha rocket, Atlas 5, which flown 2 times, Europe's Vega C, which also flown for 2 times, Minotaur 4 rocket, which launched the classified launches for USSF, ESA Aerospace Spectrum, and various other launches. I'm not taking all the names as they are not so much a frequent flyer, so we grouped them in one head and made them termed as others. Let us see if we can uh, get things rolling, and we can provide you the detailed breakdown of the launches being made by Rocket Variations. So that's all for the stats we have for you guys, but currently we are waiting for the webcast to begin from SpaceX's end, as it's already past 15 minutes, which they said they will be starting the webcast 15 minutes prior to the liftoff. According to their timer on their newly designed website, it's 13 minutes 28 seconds and counting to the liftoff. I guess they will be not able to have the launch for today. So now they didn't mention, SpaceX didn't mention it officially, so let's wait and see if they will be trying for the launch or not. But the webcast is yet to begin. Well, yes, I guess they started the webcast, so thanks. Well, let me just set up the stream for you guys. It's nice that at least they are attempting the uh, launch at the um, very end of the 27 minutes of launch window for today's liftoff. Currently, SpaceX is playing some pre-launch tune. You're not missing anything. Don't worry. We are synced up. I'll be patching in the mission audio feed once it drops. Meanwhile, once again, just a humble request to you all. Here at AstroYonder, adding value to your viewing experience is our top priority. So if you felt we somewhat achieved that, please consider liking this stream. It really helps others to find out this stream. Also consider subscribing to our channel as we work hard to bring you streams packed with stats, details, and insight. Your kind support with those little taps on your screen would really inspire us, and to keep up with our hard work to meet your expectation. Would be incredibly grateful for your encouragement. So let's see. I also would like to mention that we heard that with today's launch of a batch of 24 Kuiper satellites, it will be 102 Kuiper satellites in orbit. Well, that's true, but if we will be considering the two prototype uh, Kuiper satellites being launched back in 2023, so as of now, they launched 104 Kuiper satellites. They will be launching 104 Kuiper account of 104 Kuiper satellites with today's mission. But as of now, as per the Jonathan McDowell's sir's website, we know, and even his website is tracking those satellite data. The two prototypes are not there anymore in the orbit. As of now, it's 78 there in the orbit. So that number will be going to rise with 102 with today's mission. with the launch of this batch of 24 Kuiper satellites on Kuiper Falcon 2 mission. So we have the webcast.
You are looking at a live view of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket as we prepare to launch the KF-02 mission from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Tyler Lionquist, and I'm an analyst here at SpaceX, and welcome to our live launch coverage, delivering 24 Kuiper satellites to orbit on behalf of our customer, Amazon. Today's mission is named KF-02 for the second Falcon 9 launch for Amazon's Project Kuiper. Project Kuiper is Amazon's low Earth orbit satellite constellation, which will provide fast, reliable internet to customers and communities around the world. Today's mission marks our second of 3 planned Kuiper missions, and this will be the 4th launch of Project Kuiper satellites this year, adding another 24 satellites to its constellation. At T-minus 8 minutes and 57 seconds, weather is a watch item, but if we are unable to launch this morning, a backup opportunity will be available tomorrow at 8:57 a.m. Eastern Time. And just a quick note, at our customer's request, we will be ending live coverage of the mission just after the first stage booster landing. And with that, let's take a moment to learn a bit more about the vehicle supporting today's mission.
So that's all we had to know from them as of now. So we won't be getting any views for the second stage. Also, the webcast will be ending at the with the first stage being successfully landed. And also we heard that there is a backup opportunity if the launch doesn't happen today, which was not mentioned previously on their website previously. And also the weather is an watch item, as previously I mentioned, and SpaceX did mention it yesterday on their tweet on X that it's a 35 chances of favorable weather conditions. We can see at least here at the Atlantic Ocean where the drone ship, we can see the view. The sky is clear, but at the pad there at Launch Complex 40, Slip 40 pad, the weather looks quite dramatic there, and we can see some cumulus cumulus clouds getting there accumulated. Well, it's a massive 65% launch with the constant violations related to cumulus cloud, anvil cloud, and lightning rules. Also, there is a forecast of light rain with 40% cloud cover and a wind speed of 10 miles per hour. Now we are approximately getting 5 minutes from the liftoff. As we just heard in the webcast that weather is still a watch item, and you can see right now on your screen that how dramatic the sky looks. Currently, stage 1 RP1 load is complete. We have to keep an ear out, carefully listening so that we can hear that if they will be scrubbing the launch attempt for today.
Next up in the countdown, the transporter erector, or TE, will begin to retract away from Falcon 9. That's the large truss structure you see standing next to the rocket. It's hinged at the base and connected to the launch mount beneath the first stage. First, we'll see the clamp arms open around the second stage, and then the TE will begin to pivot back, slowly swinging away from the rocket. It'll reach its full recline by T-minus 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Just a quick correction, the window tomorrow begins the backup opportunity will begin tomorrow at 8:57 a.m. Eastern Time. You might also hear the TE referred to as the strongback. It's the same structure, just a different name. It also does a lot more than lean. It rolls Falcon 9 out to the pad, raises it vertical.
Vehicle tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
So we just heard the call out back there. The tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
It provides fuel, power, telemetry,
Here
and
we add a little bit of cats to stiffen up the tanks so that the clamp arms, which you can see just underneath the payload fairing, can open up with a solid structure holding the Falcon 9. Upon opening the clamp arms, we start reclining the strong back about 1.5 degrees away from the Falcon 9, since it's a East Coast flight. On the Vandenberg flight, we recline the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9, and you will be able to see soon. There we go, the clamp arms are opening up, and slowly after that the strong back will be reclining about 1.5 degrees or 2, and we have to be carefully noticing the strong back reclining away from the Falcon 9, since it's not a large difference of reclining degree away from the Falcon 9. As of now, we are 3 minutes and 30 seconds prior to the liftoff. All systems are go for an on-time liftoff. Right now, we just saw the reclining process of the strong back is on its way. While we are watching this live view of Falcon 9, a couple of important steps were completed. The spacecraft team switched to internal power a few minutes ago, and fueling of the Falcon 9 first stage is finished, meaning all the RP-1 propellant is now on board. Well, you can see the sky, how cloudy it is. Well, we are still
as you just heard over
we are still loading the liquid oxygen on both the first and second stage. We just heard the call out for stage 1 LOX load being complete. We are now waiting for the second stage that will finish up just inside T-2 minutes mark. Once again, today weather is a watch item, and we are targeting a liftoff time for today. Stage 2 LOX load is complete. So with that call out, all the propellants are now on board the Falcon 9 with massive 1 million pounds of propellant. We are now beginning to vent down the pressure that was on the tubing on the strong back. That's why we can see those clouds coming out there. It's an healthy indicator of launch coming up. Next event, T-1 minute, we should be hearing the call out that the Falcon 9 flight computers are on startup and controlling the rocket for the remainder of the countdown. We heard the call out for the ground gas closer. That's where we bleed the extra pressure off, and that cold gas, it's raining there.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
So there we go, right on time. Falcon 9 flight computers on stage 1 and stage 2 are running the rocket to the last minute of count. Now let's listen to the go callouts.
At T-1 minute, Falcon 9 is in startup.
It's 34 seconds. LD didn't provide any go. Hold.
Launch abort is running.
And there we go. It was quite obvious anyways. So it's a scrub. We got a hold from the SpaceX launch director at T-20.
That was a scrub due to weather. Let's go ahead and proceed into the non-crewed scrub section of procedure 1.160 and step into offloads.
So we got a scrub for today's launch attempt at T-minus 28 seconds prior to the liftoff due to weather conditions. As it's quite visible, we are having right now precipitations going on there at the pad. I don't know why SpaceX even attempted the launch attempt for today, as it was a 35% go for today's launch. So tomorrow we will be again having the launch attempt at 8:57 a.m. Eastern times. So with that, we will be wrapping up today's coverage for now. But before that, finally and most importantly, we want to thank you for tuning in into our launch coverage. We really can't do this broadcast without your support, and we are grateful for your continued encouragement for everything what we do here at AstroYonder. Also, be sure to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in the space industry and updates on the upcoming launches. Hope I can say that you enjoyed the stream because we didn't even have the launch, but hope that I could provide some insight for the launch. We appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch stream. Wishing you a nice weekend ahead. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipta, sign off for now, and we will see you next time.